I think some of these guys got one thing right, but then went in the opposite direction of the truth. And so I thought, I wonder if I could read a whole ton of JFK conspiracy books and figure out what really happened. And I think I did.
Hello, world, and welcome back to Nobody's a Nobody podcast with me, Mike McVeigh. This is the podcast where I talk to people that I find absolutely fascinating, who might not necessarily be celebrities in the big scope, but in my life, they're as famous as they need to be. We're continuing the interview with Joey Rodman, the Okie Space Queen herself. We are going to be talking about NaNoWriMo. We're going to talk about JFK assassin conspiracy theories, and we're also going to have the circuit breaker lockdown questions. But before we do any of that, I do need to remind you that if you have not already, please subscribe to this podcast on whatever podcast player you choose to listen to, or via Spotify. The more you listen, the more I am confident to keep on making episodes, hopefully ones that you enjoy like this one. And if you do it through iTunes, please leave us 5 stars or 4 stars or 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star. Well, probably 4 or 5 stars. That makes me feel a little bit better about myself. We're going to have about 3 or 4 shout outs to the various places that I support. You have heard most of these before, but I do support them, and I encourage you to support them as well. We do have a partnership with my friend Jarvik's webpage, MakeOklahomaWeirder.com. It was founded in 2018, and Make Oklahoma Weirder is an independent online multimedia platform dedicated to covering original local music in the state of Oklahoma. Using a written blog, YouTube channel, social media apps, and a forthcoming podcast, Make Oklahoma Weirder covers and curates local artists and music events through original content. Though it has a soft spot for weirdos, it eagerly welcomes all genres, from new bands and the smallest underground spots to nationally recognized talents. The content of Make Oklahoma Weirder aims to be a professional, positive, and engaging. Whether through reviews, interviews, or news updates, Make Oklahoma Weirder prioritizes understanding and representing the music community. The mission starts first and foremost with an open mind, a focused ear, and a level of dedication only a weirdo would commit to. If you're interested in seeing what makes Oklahoma weird, please visit MakeOklahomaWeirder.com. If you are looking to get some chicken wings, let me recommend to you Tulsa, Oklahoma's Max Wings. MACK''S Wings. They have a variety of flavors that are very good and tasty and scrumptious. I was just found out while recording the previous episode that some garlic parmesan flavored wings are now on the menu. I love the Golden Hurricane, the Oklahoma Dry Rub, and even just the regular honey barbecue. And it looks like one of their top sellers is the honey sriracha. So if you're interested in something to kick up your spice life, please go to Max Wings in Tulsa. But let's say you're in Oklahoma City and you don't want wings. You want to have some great barbecue. Then check out the Cornish Smokehouse in South Oklahoma City. It is some of the best smoked meat that you're going to find in any restaurant in Oklahoma. I would say I guarantee it, and the only way that you can prove me wrong is to take me to that place and buy my meal and let me know the difference. Cornish Smokehouse has all different sorts of flavors. They have great desserts, great staff. Please go and support them. And next time you decide to travel, look at Magical Partners Travel. We had Courtney Kane on a few weeks ago, and she told us about how she can help book a trip pretty much anywhere, and so can the rest of the staff at Magical Partners Travel. They know that you take your vacation seriously, and they do as well. And now let's jump back into where we left off with Joey Rodman.
I'm almost done with this book that I've been writing for like 6 years. And I think I just didn't send out any emails, but I need to take a break from writing that book. So I'm going to get back on the email wagon.
In fact, I think the first thing I ever knew about you was from your husband. It was November of 2015, and I don't remember exactly how it all came about, but he had mentioned, and I'm going to probably say it wrong, the NaNoWriMo. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. I hate when I mess things up on that. But you've been very involved with, I want to say it's the National November Writing Month.
National Novel Writing Month.
Novel Writing Month.
Yeah.
It's always in November. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you move into that? Because you're like a regional person, or
yeah. Up until last year, I was the municipal liaison, And I had to quit last year because I had so many planetarium shows in November that I could not be in leadership in that anymore. Like it just wasn't fair to anyone.
Right.
Um, but basically, what we do is we start on November 1st at midnight and we write until November 30th. And the goal is to write a 50,000 word novel in 1 month. And so that's 1,667 words a day. If you even them out and do enough every day.
Right.
I don't do that because Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. So I need a full 4 days for Thanksgiving, right? 2 days
Okay.
prep, 1 day eating, 1 day eating the rest. And I front load my novels and I would end up writing 3,000 to 5,000 words a day
Wow.
to try to get ahead of it so that Thanksgiving week I had to do nothing. My husband's home, my kids aren't at school. I'm going to hang out with them 24/7 that week and make them like get really tired of me. And so in order to do that, it can't be writing. Can't annoy people while you're writing. You have to pick one. So you're going to annoy people, not going to be writing. And so I front loaded it. And then when COVID happened, I got these jobs doing a little bit of journalism, a little bit of like content writing. This mommy blog hired me and she's like, I need you to write like 3 articles a week and they each need to be like 500 words.
And you're just like, whatever, that's nothing.
Yeah, like they would be due Saturday afternoon and I would get up Saturday morning and write them and turn them in at noon. Like, and she's like, "You're so good. These are great. They're well written, well researched. How did you?" And I was like, literally, I sat down for an hour and a half and got it like done. And she's like, "You what?" Because I'm used to writing like 5,000 words a day while I had a full-time job, while I'm trying to parent 2 kids.
Right.
Like you have to learn to write fast.
I have to imagine that on top of that, you've also had to learn how to sacrifice or change some of the patterns that most of us out there. Because I mean, even if just the time, even if you wrote fast, even if you wrote 2 times the rate of somebody else, 2,500 words is still a lot of words for most people to write in a day.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things. During November, I would typically, other than work I had to do
Mm-hmm.
to, buy nachos or whatever, I would just not do anything else. I would not go out with my friends. I would not play any of my video games. I would not watch any of my TV shows. I even, some years, I would deactivate my Facebook during November
Right.
because I was watching a show that was still airing and I didn't want spoilers because I wasn't going to watch it at all in November. So I
Right.
didn't want to see anyone talking about it. Um, and then you have to give yourself room not to be perfect, which is it's hard for parents. Um, if your kids want to go to the park and you're like, I can't, but maybe in December, like you feel kind of horrible. But my kids are pretty good and
Yeah,
they
they
got
are.
used to it. I had been doing it since 2005 was my first year. I signed up on Halloween 2005. And so then I did a novel a year. Well, actually 2 because I do it again in the summer.
That's
I would
right.
do 2 novels a year from 2005 all the way up to 2016. That November in 2016 was my last November novel. So I guess it's been a few years since I.
Now, do you go ahead and publish those novels afterwards, or?
No, they're horrible. Oh my gosh, they're really bad. Um, one of the things I like about NaNoWriMo is it's kind of like swimming with water wings on, right? You're in the pool, your legs are kicking, but you still got that little bit of like floaties on your arms, so you're not going to drown, right?
Right.
In November, if you do NaNoWriMo, you don't have to write a good book. You just have to write a book. Humans are excellent at criticizing things. We are
Yes.
horrible at creating things, right? So in November, you just keep writing. You don't delete anything, you don't correct anything. If you feel like you wrote something wrong, you rewrite it, you keep both versions, and you just keep going. The thing that stops most people from writing a book is they keep trying to make it good in the beginning, and you can't. You just have to get it all on paper, and then you can go back and you can edit it and you can tweak it and you can rewrite it and you can change the plot and you can make this character better. You can take that character out. But you cannot get to that point where you're going to be editing a book unless you've written it. And so a lot of my books, it was almost like a selfish thing. I would come up with like, what is the most ridiculous book someone could write? And I did one year, I did a choose your own adventure space Western. I
That
had
sounds
never
interesting.
written, I had never written a choose your own adventure book before. And so I didn't really know what I was doing. And I decided to do it like the 3rd of November. So I was already behind. I'm already trying to front load it for Thanksgiving. And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's great. It's like the greatest thing, right? Is freedom to be horrible at it. And that was kind of the appeal to me, was that you have the freedom to make a lot of mistakes and to write a really, really weird book. And then if at the end of the month, if you decide, okay, I do like this story, I just want to change a few things, then you can go back and fix it. Now, at the end of the month, if you're like, gosh, that was horrible, and I don't like writing that genre, and I think my story is really not great, you can just never touch it again and just start a new book. And this time, maybe it'll be a little bit better than that one was.
Have you ever gone back to any of your novels from NaNoWriMo and made them better?
I do sometimes, but the ones that I did because they were so different than any other story that I had ever read or encountered, that I thought, this was really fun. I wonder how much more weird I can make this. I wonder how much further I can go with it. And so those usually get edited, but then I finally end up on, well, this is too weird for people. So I don't think anybody would ever read them. I am editing some nonfiction books I wrote, and I already have people who want to read those. I just got to get them finished and edited,
Is one
which
of
is
them
hard.
is one of them by any chance have anything to do with John F. Kennedy?
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. That's the book I'm almost done with. I'm almost done with it. I kind of put myself in a weird position with that one. When I was on bed rest with my first kid, I would I would go to the library like once a week and I would get a book. And then I realized pretty soon that I didn't need a book, I needed 6 books. So I'm on bed rest, I don't have anything else to do. We did not have a TV at that time. We didn't have internet at home because it was like in 2001.
Right.
So we didn't have anything to do, and I was at home. And so what I would do when I was at the library is I would get a book on a subject I was interested in. And then I would go back in the bibliography and I would find as many of those books as I could, and I would check them all out at once. So I read a book about JFK. There were 8 books in the bibliography. So I checked out all 8 of those. I read them all. And I went through a bibliography of each of those. And I found books I hadn't read yet in those bibliographies, so I would go get those books. And then I would keep doing that and keep doing that and keep doing that. And so now I've read a little more than 5,000 books about either JFK, the civil rights movement, which happened around the same time,
Right.
LBJ, Nixon, just kind of like politics of that decade. So I'm about 5,000 books down. Probably about 3,000 books in, I realized that each of these books is on one aspect of JFK's life,
Right.
or one part of the civil rights movement. Like it would follow one leader around. The longer I read, the less it started being about JFK biographies and just kind of general books about him and his policies and his campaign. It started to get into conspiracy books.
Right.
And they are all wild. But the more I read them, the more I realized, like, I think some of these guys got one thing right, but then went in the opposite direction of the truth. And so I thought, I wonder if I could read a whole ton of JFK conspiracy books and figure out what really happened. And I think I did. So this is the book I'm writing. It's called Piecemeal Rabbit Hole. I basically taken all the parts of these conspiracy books that I think are right and tried to timeline them out until I found a story that has no conflicts with any facts that I was able to find. So last November, I told my husband, I said, I'm ready to go to Dallas. And we went down to Dallas. We rode the train, which was amazing. And we went down to Dealey Plaza, and I was kind of scoping it out, and I told him, no, I got it. I figured it out. I know. I definitely know. In reality, I probably don't know, but I definitely know a story that you cannot poke a hole in.
Right.
That nobody else has told. At least not completely.
Because I do remember when the Warren Commission released the records, and you're like, all right, people, I'm not even going to be available for like the next week or so.
Yeah, that was wild. I have like 5 gig of documents from that, and they all came out like right around Thanksgiving, and I'm like, no, this is my week to annoy the family. And then I've done enough FOIA requests. I probably have like 18 gigs of just government documents that just to try to like piece together a lot of the stuff in those conspiracy books like could not have happened.
Right.
Like could not have. And so it was interesting to me that these people felt confident enough to write a book accusing someone of something when like factually it cannot be true. And I thought, I wonder if I could write a book where there are no factual problems in it. And so that's what I've been working on for 6 years.
So how close would you say you are to finishing it at this point?
So I finished it like twice, but there's 2 different edits, and I can't figure out which edit to go with. There's one that's way more heavy on the various conspiracy theories and where they fall short. And there's one that's almost not about JFK at all, but just a lot of things that were happening during that time that would help people understand more what led to that day.
Do you think that could be something that one would be like a companion, not necessarily a companion guide, but a companion book? So you can definitely read one or the other, but they work best as a set.
Probably.
I just want you to read more so I can listen to it on Audible or whatever my audio player is.
Maybe I should do a podcast of it.
I would be listening to that one too. I'll delay recording my own just so I can listen to it.
I have a website, okiespace.com, and you can sign up for the email list there. And then that's also when it gets safer to book the planetarium, when we could, that's how you would book it.
I had the pleasure to get to talk to Kaylee Vaughn, the director of Our Neighborhood Empowered One Oklahoma City, and she has just a little message for us. One of the ways that I know that our family just started, I think last month or this month, is the coffee club. Can you talk about that
Yes.
for just a second?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. So the coffee club is just our way of small micro gifts that can make a big impact. So whether it's $5, $10, $25, $50, that is dollars a month. That getting more kids to come, getting that foundation of financial support coming in monthly. So a lot of people are like, well, I'd rather just give $60. Well, we'll take your money no matter how you want to give it. But when it is that consistent monthly income that we know we can get, it's a lot more sustainable and impactful. So that's kind of what the coffee club is for. So a financial giving, even $5 a month, is huge. Our goal is to get 500 $5 a month donors, and we're about at 175 a month. More money, the more impact, and so we love that.
So if you'd like to help some people out in need, check out oneokc.org. This is time for our circuit breaker lockdown questions. I know how you know how it goes because you've told me you've listened to a couple episodes already. Are you ready for them?
I'm ready.
From my friend Rashad, if you were a tree, what kind of pizza would you eat?
Oh, wow. If I was a tree, I would probably eat spinach pizza.
Ooh.
For the chlorophyll.
I like that for two reasons, because it sounds sciencey, and I'm not a sciencey person, and I love spinach. So All right, my friend Amanda, who's another deep thinker, at least for me, and if you were to leave this life tomorrow, what's the one thing you would like people to have known about you?
That I love them, even if I haven't met you. I think everyone deserves to have someone that roots for them and wants them to be happy. And if somebody is listening to this and you don't have that person, it's me. I'll do it.
You're going to make me cry. And I'm not saying that jokingly or anything. Goodness. That's why I like you. That's another reason why I like you. My friend Mandy, and I think you've explained, I'll shut up and just ask the question. How have you learned to get along so well with people who think and believe so differently than you?
I think that's probably owing to my history in stand-up comedy. To write a good joke, you have to understand how people's minds work. So a good joke, you have a setup, and you lead them along in a direction that they can follow. And then at the very end, in the punchline, you do something they don't expect. And that's what makes the joke funny. They think they're going this way, and you take them that way. Well, in order for me to be able to take a room of, my largest crowd in stand-up was like 2,500 people.
Oh, wow.
I take a room of 2,500 people that I have never met, and I want every one of them to laugh. I've got to think like a lot of different people to figure out what joke can I get for this kind of person? What joke can I get for that kind of person? And so it's led me to understand more that we can all be on the same train and going in different directions. Right? And so it makes me a little bit more patient with people, because I come at it in a scientific way of like, I want to understand how you got to where you are, and less about where you are is wrong, because that's not where I'm at.
This one I think might be a little bit more difficult for you, because I think you're one of the very few people I know personally that reads more than I do. From my friend Amy, what's been the most influential book, or I'll even add books, in your life?
Oh, goodness.
Yep.
Um, can I just do my most influential ones from this year?
That would be
Because I
great.
read like 8 to 10 books a week.
I know, I know. That's why I thought this would be difficult for you. Yeah, please.
So in February, I listened to the audiobook again of To Kill a Mockingbird.
Mm-hmm.
It's read by Sissy Spacek.
Oh, wow.
She's only ever done 2 books, and I write her fan letters all the time, and I'm like, please do more. She's an amazing reader. Um, but at the same time, I was reading a biography about Martin Luther King Jr. And in that biography, it had his letter from the Birmingham jail.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read books, I'll read a couple chapters in this one. I'll go, start a load of laundry, and I'll pick up a different book and read a couple of chapters in that one.
Right.
Well, I just finished reading Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from Birmingham jail.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned on my audiobook to listen To Kill a Mockingbird, and I suddenly made a connection between those 2 books. In that, my whole life, I had been raised to see Atticus Finch as a hero. He went and defended an innocent man against all kinds of pressure. Um, and I was taught in school, this is how you do it. This is how you use your white privilege to help people. This is how you can change someone's life by being kind and being fair.
Right.
But I had just read Letter from the Birmingham jail, and I'm listening to the book, and there's a character in the book that is openly racist.
Bob Eulis.
Yeah, and Atticus, is telling his kids, he's like, calm down, he doesn't know better. And I thought, Atticus Finch is just the moderate white. He's the one in the letters to the Birmingham jail that Martin Luther King Jr. is warning us about. He's not racist, but he lets racism happen in front of him, and he waves it away and says, I don't want drama with that. I don't want my standing in the community affected because I'm not going to speak up and say, hey, you can't say that in front of my kids. I don't want them to learn those attitudes. I thought, oh gosh, this is not good. This is not good that I've spent my whole life thinking, okay, well, I'm going to wait for the day when I can be Atticus Finch, when something super unfair and blatantly wrong is happening in front of me, and I'm going to stand up and I'm going to do something about it. And realizing that I've watched blatantly wrong things happen in front of me, and I've made excuses for those people. They don't know better. They were raised different. He didn't mean it that way. Sure, it sounds super racist, but he's probably kidding. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart to know that I thought I was doing good, and I could sit back and think, what if I let people comment on my Facebook status and go unquestioned? How many of my friends that are Black, that are Latino, have seen that and they've seen me ignore it? And how do they feel safe around me if I'm not going to be bold enough to say that's wrong? Really messed me up. Like, I'm still a little bit messed up about it.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Anyway, I think people should definitely read both of those books and then email me if they disagree, because I'd love to talk about it.
I normally don't do this during the circuit breaker part, but I'm assuming you've read Harper Lee's To Go Set a Watchman.
I did.
And a lot of what you just said definitely resonates with that book, especially. Like, had you read that at the point when you made that connection between a letter from the Birmingham jail and To Kill a Mockingbird?
I did. I read it in book club, and I actually got disinvited from book club because um, because of some of my opinions about it. Um, and I've always been outspoken and opinionated, and I really, did not like that book. I thought, wow, these characters are so different, and I don't like them anymore. I didn't like Atticus in that book. I didn't like him. And then I think that's what even messed me up more, reading To Kill a Mockingbird and Letters from Birmingham Jail at the same time, was that I had thought, I'm outspoken, I say what I mean, I don't let people, harbor untrue ideas around me. And then I'm like, oh, but I do. I do when it's going to cost me something.
Yeah.
I'll call out a friend, I don't call out a relative. I'll tell my kids, hey, that joke may sound funny, but here's the basis and let's not. But if there's another kid, I'm not going to do that because I'm scared their parent won't let that kid come play with my kid anymore.
Right. Do you do you not think that? And I don't disagree with you. I'm not sure where I stand. I like getting messed up, but then it messes me up. um, do you not think that there also needs to be a place that allows for, so like the Bob Ulisses or whatever, to being able to get to a point of where there aren't excuses? Um, I'm not and partly is that just even hearing you say it makes me wrestle with some of the stances I take on different things. It's not so much that I look at it like, well, you have a right to say that, but um, I also don't think that if somebody, and I think this has been proven over the past 12 years or so, especially, that when I say proven's not the right word, that this has happened time and again over the past 12 years, especially, maybe because that's just when I paid attention to some of the political ramifications more, that um, the the speaking up or telling people that, whether it was the end of Bush, throughout Obama's tenure, and currently Trump's, that if you're completely pro Obama or pro Trump, the other side, they're not really listening to you whenever you have something to say, and they're not going to listen if there's a, I don't know what the right word. Do you understand kind of what I'm asking? I know I'm not clearly stating what I'm saying.
Yeah, so there are ways to go about it, and there are different situations that require different tactics. Um, I recently decided that my Facebook profile is not a place to let these toxic conversations play out. Because it's not just me and the person I'm talking to, right? Other people have to read that. And so I'm not necessarily rude. I'm not going to tell people, hey, you're racist, because that never goes well. But I will say, hey, let's not make comments like that here, okay? If you
Okay.
want to talk about that somewhere else, we can do that. But it's kind of like,
I get that. I get that. I think that's where I was, because like for my Facebook page, and I think you know this, I try to make it very non-political as much as possible, and where it's a place that people can just not necessarily not think, but it's the whole goal is to make a positive footprint, and it's not, no matter what side anything's on. Um, I think you know that. I hope you know that. I hope people see that it's supposed to be just kind of a fun Facebook page. If people choose to interact, they do. But you're not saying that people can't be wrong and stupid and have a place to
No,
share. You're
and
just saying that whenever it's in your space or the space that you facilitate, that is not going to be a place where that kind of stuff happens.
yeah, as
Okay.
long as
Okay.
it's a place I'm in charge of, there's zero tolerance. If
Gotcha.
I go on someone else's Facebook page, I dial it down a lot. And a lot of times I won't even disagree with them. I'll ask them, why do you say that? Where is that coming from? And I learned pretty early on that sometimes people say one thing and they mean another.
Right.
Um, and they may not even realize. And if you can ask them enough questions, you can kind of get back to where it was. So I have a lady the other day on, it wasn't even on my friend's page, it was on a friend of a friend. And I saw it because my friend had commented. And this lady said, um, she said, I can't get with Black Lives Matter because I believe all lives matter.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, what do you think is the difference between those two statements? And she said, I'm not going to fight. And I said, I don't want to fight you, ma'am. I'm, I just, I saw your other comments. You seem like an intelligent and reasonable person. And so that's why I'm asking you, and I'm not asking some of these other people on here.
Right.
And so she said, well, I just know that my uncle was white and he was also killed by police in a situation where I felt like it was wrongful death. And I said, okay. And I said, so you're speaking from a place where you feel like that excludes you in your pain? And she said, yeah. And I said, okay, what do you think we should do about it? Because I'm also not okay with what happened to you and your family and the loss that you've had to deal with.
Right.
What do you think we should do? And she said, well, I think maybe we could do more de-escalation training, or maybe we could, my brother was mentally ill. Maybe instead of police coming, somebody else could have come. And I said, okay, well, so the people in Black Lives Matter, those are some of the things they're working on. Do you think maybe it would be better to join with them and we can all work together to get these things done that will benefit all of us? And she said, well, yeah, nobody's ever told me that. And so I think that that's kind of what you were touching on, is if you go in guns blazing all the time, you're never going to get to that conversation where you find out why they're upset.
Right.
And she would have never known what the goals of our local Black Lives Matter were, because people just called her racist and moved on, and she got more bitter and more bitter and more bitter.
Right. Right.
And that's not what was going on at all. You can't assume what people mean. But there are some people, if you know them well enough, you know what they mean and you can shut it down. But when you're coming up on a stranger, sometimes it pays to just ask them, like, why do you say that? Why do you think that? And a lot of times you can get down to some way that they were hurt and they're lashing out, not at the people who hurt them, but just at anyone who's nearby. And people have the right to believe what they have, what they believe. And I'm not trying to change anyone. I just want to understand them. Because I feel like you can't solve a problem until you understand it.
Right.
But then if I'm in charge of the space, I feel like if I'm silent, I'm complicit. And so if somebody comes to my page, it's like being in my house. And so if I would not let somebody act like that in my house, they're not going to act like that on my Facebook page, because I'm I have guests,
Gotcha.
right?
No, thank you for elaborating. That's good. It makes the last question, and I think you know which one's coming up. But you're familiar with Harry Carey from Chicago Cubs?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you're the Cubs fan and Michael's the Red Sox fan. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, I couldn't. Wasn't sure. All right. Well, my friend Adrian, I'm sure he stole this from a Will Ferrell skit, but doing a Harry Carey. If you were a donut, would you eat yourself?
I mean, probably. Have you ever seen the Gingerbread Man cartoon? And he's like eating a gingerbread cookie, and he's like, I'm eating what I'm made of. And I thought, gosh, I would do that too. If I was a gingerbread cookie, I would totally eat other gingerbread cookies. Yeah, I probably would.
No, Joey, you don't realize how much you inspire me. It's definitely been a pleasure getting to talk to you tonight. Oh my goodness, wasn't that just a wonderful, wonderful interview? Well, maybe not on your side. Okay, it was. I think it was, so therefore it should be. Tell me I'm differently. Come contact me at mike.w.mcveigh@gmail.com. Feel free to check out our sponsors. Well, not really our sponsors, but our shout outs. Max Wings, Magical Partners Travel, Cornish Smokehouse, MakeOklahomaWeirder.com, and OneOKC.org. This is Mike McVeigh signing off until next week.